So what makes a fit and healthy body? It varies over the lifespan. And with age, we need to reevaluate our approach to exercise and our goal, our why. So I'll share with you a little bit about my why over the decades. When I was in my 20s, I wanted to be able to keep up with my little kids. I also noticed when I pursued fitness activities that I slept better and it improved my mood. So that was my motivation. In my 30s and 40s, well, when I was in my early 30s, 9/11 happened. And that was very shocking for all of us in the United States. And I started thinking a lot about if something terrible were to happen and I were there, could I save myself? Could I help someone else? Like if you saw people that they walked home in their stocking feet, 60 blocks, can I do that? Could I pull someone to safety? Those kinds of things, especially as the mother of young children, if something terrible happened, how can I help and how can I not be a burden on someone else? So that's how I continued for 20 years to make sure that I was in really great shape, that I could be of use, whether it was a regular day or something extraordinary happened. Then in my early 50s, I got hurt. I got injured exercising, and I had to reevaluate the way I was working out. I was older. So I have changed my why. It was to be the best shape I could be, to be of service to anyone who might need my help. Where now I am working on my old lady body. And that means I want to have strong bones, muscle mass, good balance, and good mobility so that I can take care of myself for as long as I can and live my best life as long as I can. So here's some interesting things about bones. Half of women and a fifth of men over the age of 50 will experience a bone fracture due to fragile or porous bones. This is particularly true for Asian women. Asian women are at a very high risk of osteoporosis. So some of the things that we can do as we're getting older, and hopefully we start in our youth, is to get enough calcium and vitamin D. So if you've been living in Minnesota, you may have a lower level of vitamin D because even if in the winter we could go out in the sunshine and expose our skin, we cannot. We still wouldn't absorb enough vitamin D because the sun is too low in the sky. So for 5 months out of the year, here in Minnesota, we need to supplement vitamin D. And your doctor can check your levels and make a recommendation if you need to supplement beyond just, an over-the-counter pill that you take daily. If you need to bring your level up, your doctor can help you with that. So, but the interesting thing about bones is even if you're getting enough calcium and vitamin D, your body will not use that calcium to build bone unless you signal to the body that it needs to be in the bone. And the way that you do that is with weight bearing and impact. That signals the body to take that calcium and use it to build bone. Otherwise, it will use it for something else or just let it go. So the other thing about weight-bearing exercise is as you develop muscle, those muscles cushion your bones so that if you do take a fall, you are less likely to break a bone. But the very best way to not break a bone due to a fall is not to fall at all. So that's why we train balance as well. So now about muscles, this is more unhappy news as we age. We have a 3 to 8% decline in muscle mass per decade after the age of 30. And it increases faster after the age of 60. Balance is critical for independence and quality of life. It starts to decline after the age of 50. And the reason for this is balance is a whole lot in your brain. Part of the problem after age 50 is loss of muscle mass. There's also sensory changes. What's going on in our inner ear, our vision, and our proprioception, which is an awareness of where we are in space. Now, mobility, that's the ability to move the joints, and it's important for functioning independently. We can have improved posture when our joints are mobile. It reduces the risk of falls, and it reduces pain because we have better circulation and less inflammation. So what I have for you tonight, as far as our demonstration, and you can join this demonstration or you can watch. My plan is to write down what I'm doing and send it by email so that you can have a copy. And I believe we're also recording this. I'm going to show you some different basic movements that can be done at home with minimal equipment. If you belong to a gym, of course, there are classes there. If you'd like to seek out a trainer specifically for these things, how far you want to take it is up to you. I'm just hoping to inspire you and give you some simple ways to work on these things so you can work on your old person body and live a fulfilling life as long as you can. So let me get my setup so I can make sure everything can be seen. Okay, how is the view?
Very good.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to be using some little weights, but I want to show you some things that you might have around the house. A can. This can be used as a very light weight. If you want a little more, 24-ounce water bottle, a half-gallon carton. This could be filled with water or rice or something that will give it some weight. A gallon. This could be filled with water. It's even got a handle. So you might have things around the house that you can use. So I'm going to show you a few ways to do a squat. This is the movement. I'll show you from the side. We have the feet a little wider than the hips, and we're going to take the hips back and down. So you can see I have flexion in my hips, my knees, and my ankles. That's mobility. And then I'm using my legs to lower and lift my body weight. Maybe I want to add on, instead of just body weight, maybe I want to take something external and hold this. I could hold two here. This is similar to a movement to pick up bags. You'll notice also that my back is straight from my tailbone to the top of my head. It's a tilted line, but it's a straight line. So not this, not this. Okay, I'm going to take my hips back and down. One simple way to do this is to sit in a chair and stand up and sit down and stand up and sit down and stand up. Sit down and continue that. Maybe start with 30 seconds. Work your way up to a minute before you change muscle groups. If you need a little more support, you can hang on to a chair like this. And then again, you can add your external load if you feel like you would like a little bit more. If you want to add a little more mobility, you want to get very fancy, you can do your squat, step out, reach across, sit in your squat, change sides, reaching maybe for the knee, maybe for the ankle, but as always, dropping the hips and leaving the chest lifted. So next is going to be chest. The easiest way to work chest and shoulders is with a push-up, and there are a lot of ways to do this. I'm going to take my arms wide, wider than my shoulders. Right now, I'm just on my hands and knees. Yes?
You probably need to move the camera a little bit downward. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so hands wider than the shoulders. I can do this on my hands and knees. I can back my knees up and be here, or I can come up onto my toes. I can also, I'm going to switch my camera a little bit. Go against the wall, depending on, what level you're at. If you do not feel comfortable being on the floor, that's another option for you too. So, back and legs. This is called a deadlift. I'm going to stand tall, and I'm going to shift my hips back. I'm going to feel like I'm peeking over the edge of something. Back is straight. Tailbone to the top of the head. Soft knees. This exercise, you will feel it in the back of the legs as you stand up. That's getting into the back of the legs, all the way into the glutes and the low back. A little bit more in the mid back is a row. I'm going to tip. I'm going to squeeze my shoulder blades together and pull back and then rise up. As I get better at this, I could stay here for maybe 3 times, then stand up, take a breath, maybe add a squat. Tip and pull. And then maybe add a squat. Maybe add a squat, reach out, and reach across. These exercises can be put together to keep your brain focused, keep it interesting. So again, we might take something like that and start with 30 seconds and work our way up, taking a little more time before we switch muscle groups. That would be called a circuit. Like if you were to do all 8 in a row, 30 seconds each, take 30 seconds rest in between, then start all over again and do another circuit. So let's look at biceps and the arm. This is great for function. This is the front side of your arm. This is what it does. It bends your elbow. So the way to exercise it is to bend your elbow. But if you want to get more interesting, you could turn the palms up and then down, like that. Back side of the arm. The front side of the arm bends the arm. The back side of the arm straightens the arm. So that's called triceps. And a way to work those, let me make sure I'm going to get down here to make sure this is visible. You can take your arms up, pull your elbows in, and bend and straighten the arm. Triceps are very important for getting up out of a chair with arms. This chair doesn't have arms, but that's what you would do. You would straighten your arm. So a chair can be useful if you want an advanced tricep work. So you can come off the edge, bend your arm.
We can see your lower body. We can see the legs.
I have a little message blocking. See if I can get rid of it. I have a little message bar across the top of my window on myself, so I'm having a little trouble seeing the bottom.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you see my feet?
Yes.
So I'm using my arms, not my legs. I'm acting like my legs don't really have anything to give. So that's pretty intense. So one way to decrease the intensity of that move is to bend the arms here. So one thing when I'm doing circuits is I might do the exercise. If the muscle group is legs, I might take the first round and sit up and down in a chair, sit, rise for my 30 seconds, 45 seconds, a minute. And then the second time, I'll do it without the chair, or I'll just change it up a little bit. So it's the same muscle group, but I'm working it a little bit differently, just for variety and to keep my body guessing as well. So that's biceps and triceps for strong arms. So shoulders, let's see. Shoulders move in a couple different directions. So when I want to exercise the tops of my shoulders, am I visible?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is an upward row. I take my elbows high and wide. Nice and easy. It's a little bitty movement. You know, if you expect exercise to hurt, like I'll see people in my classes going, because they think exercise must hurt. And that does hurt my neck. But this isn't meant to hurt the neck. This is meant to work your shoulders. This exercise gets a little more feelable with repetition. Just right up the front of the body, elbows high and wide. Another way to work the shoulders, because again, there are many parts, is pressing overhead. And if someone has told you, a physical therapist or an orthopedic doctor has told you not to lift overhead, you can keep it right here. You don't need to push it all the way up. But we do put things up on shelves. So sometimes we can combine moves and take a bicep curl and then push it up, because that's very similar to an action that we do where we pick something up and we want to put it up on the shelf, or something is on the shelf and we want to put it on the counter. So that's how these repetitive movements help us in everyday life. They are mimicking movements that we do, functional patterns of movement that we use every single day. If you're really interested in functional movement, and you know, here, this is how I put things up. It's a bicep curl and a shoulder press. What if I was all the way down here and I did part of a deadlift and then brought it up and pressed it up? That would be picking something up off the floor. All right, so let's talk a little bit while we're on these smaller muscles about how we can add a little balance training into this. So we talked about bicep curls. This is very boring to do for 30 seconds, unless you stand on one foot. And then it's very exciting. So one of the things about proprioception, that feeling of where I am in space, is just a little touchdown with my foot. It reminds my body where I am. And then I can pick it up. And if I start to feel that I'm really losing my balance again, I can just put it right back down. But that training is very helpful. And that's something else that's very nice with shoulders, is I could go here with one foot picked up. I could leave the toe slightly down. I could bring it up here. I could move it out here. I could put it on something. Maybe if I don't want to hold it, I could put it here. But the fact that I'm asymmetrical and my foot is lifted and it's away from my core makes it more challenging for my brain to figure out where I am in space. Another thing that's fun to do is to switch arms and then try that on one foot. If you're doing this exercise anyway, add that element of how can I stay stable. I mentioned the inner ear is important for balance. So is vision. So I frequently challenge my class when we're practicing balance to shut one eye if it gets really easy. So if your bicep curls are here and you're on one foot and you don't feel very challenged, if you close one eye, it's going to change your depth perception and you're going to lose your sense of space. So that's one way when you start to feel good about your balance and you need more challenge. That's an easy way to do it. All right. Another big element for balance is the core. This is like 2 inches above your navel. There's just this spot that you can tighten up. Like if somebody was going to poke you, you would tighten your muscles. That little spot is very important for balance. It's like there's a butterfly that is on a piece of black velvet and it is pinned there. Imagine there's a pin, you're the butterfly, and you move around that pin, but this holds really steady. So whether I'm doing my curls here, or I'm moving away, or I'm tilting over here, this spot right here in your abs. So let's talk about training the abs. So a crunch or a sit-up is forward flexion of the trunk. It's done by a muscle that runs like this. It's called your rectus abdominis. Forward flexion of the trunk, which looks like this. Okay, but I'm going to do it lying down so that I'm coming against gravity. Unless I am not in great shape, then I can do it here. And I'm going to pull my belly in and tip as if I were doing a sit-up, but I'm standing up. Along the sides of the body, you have a set like this and a set like this. You have your oblique muscles, and they do this. They rotate the trunk. They tilt you from side to side, and they help with twisting here. So when we work our core front, we have all of those. So I'm going to do these standing up. I might be here for my obliques. I might have a weight. I might not. I might take the weight over here. But this action is always flexion and movement of the trunk. And I'm telling you this because I see people do sit-ups or crunches. They do some nutty things. And when I've taught Pilates, people are like, I did not know that. So, right, am I in view?
Yeah.
They can see me?
Yes.
All right, so a crunch is forward flexion of the trunk. My hands are behind my head to receive the weight of the head, but I'm flexing my trunk forward. My arms are actually part of the load. So I don't want to see people in my class going like, using their arms to lift the head up, or their neck, or using their hips like this. You're flexing your trunk forward like you're just going to bend over to pick something up. Flex it forward and then release. It's very helpful when the body is long to inhale and then exhale, inhale, exhale. If I want to make it harder, I can add the legs in a march like this. I could bring my knees over my hips and flex my trunk forward. I could take them straight up and flex forward. When I'm coming into obliques, I lift and I think of bringing my ribs to the opposite hip. I can twist here and over here. And as before, if I want more, I can add the leg. I could add a weight. I can take my hands, I can flex my trunk forward, reach for my ankle, reach for the other ankle. So that's the front of the core. We have a back of the core. We can't see it, but it's there. So here are some things that we would do for the back side of the core. which is from your knees to the tops of your shoulders. These are very good things for back pain. I can plant my feet. This is a hip bridge. I'm going to lift my hips up and really push my heels down into the floor and then lower. So this can be slow, or I could go quick up, slow down, or I can do the opposite, slow up and then quick down. I can add marches here. I can lift up and I can march my feet. I could take a leg and take it up here and lower and lift. That makes my leg now part of the load. I can take a weight and I can put it here. Then for flexibility in the back, I can be here. If I'm going to hyperextend my spine, I want to squeeze the glutes. That's your butt. You want to squeeze these muscles and then lift the shoulders and lower. If you need to, you can keep your fingertips down. Keep that contact with the floor. That's a pretty intense move. That's our Superman flies. And then this one is a very good exercise for everybody. There are several variations. So I'll show you the easiest one. On all fours, I'm a table. I have 6 points of contact. It's my hands, my knees, and my toes. I'm going to take one point of contact away, move it out here, and then I can switch. We do not want this table to fall over or even wobble. If I want more, I could take one leg back. I'm going to leave my toe down this time. So I'm taking away 2 points of contact. I can take away more than that. I can take the whole leg up. I cut it in half. I took away 3. And then switch sides. In that exercise, we wouldn't add an external load to. Just doing that move is amazing for balance and for back strength and also for mobility. So talking about mobility, I want to show some stretches for some joints that are particularly tricky when it comes to mobility. So, ankles, knees, and hips. We saw this in squat about flexing these muscles. So this is a place where we can sit. Make sure my feet are visible. Okay. So I could be here as low as I can, back straight. So nothing like this, straight, ankle, knee, hips. This is strong and tall. If I can come down here. My heels might be on the floor, they might not. What we don't want to do is let them roll in. This really pulls on the knees. So you can push them out with your hands. So any way that you can encourage the heels down toward the floor, even if you need to be here, you're going to feel that mobility in the ankle, the knees, and the hips. All right, T-spine. That's the middle part of your spine. You've got your lumbar spine here, and the cervical is the neck. We are talking about the trunk, rotation. Very simple way is to sit in the chair, reach behind you, and turn sideways. If that's too much, you're here. And you can use this chair back, if you have an office chair, to help you rotate around. Hips stay straight because the rotation is at the ribs, okay? So not here, here. See that difference? So this can help you hang on here and rotate. You want to get both sides. Rotation in the T-spine, it goes away when we don't use it. And then we start having a lot of problems with mobility because this is meant to rotate and feel a little more free. Once you have that and you feel comfortable with it, the stretch can be done on the floor and it's very nice. We can just come down here, take the knees to one side. Then you kind of play with it. You might wonder, where are your shoulders? They might come up. So I can adjust them and try to get 2 shoulders on the floor. And then try to relax a little bit. And if I'm looking up at the ceiling, maybe I can try turning my head away to increase that stretch, that twist a little bit more. And then when I'm ready, I come to the other side. 2 sides might be really different. Might have one side that feels a little stuck, might take a little bit more adjustment, might not have the same range of motion. Totally normal. So that's rotation in the T-spine. Some other ways to do that would be on all fours. You could thread one arm under and sit in a child's pose with a little rotation. That's a very gentle stretch. So let's look a little more at some balance items. I'm going to take you through a range, whatever level you're at with balance. So balance peaks at about age 18. And then around age 50, it really starts to decline. So I can stand with my feet hip distance or maybe a little more. The wider your feet, the more stability you're going to have. And then I can just move in circles, rolling around to the edges of my feet and try the other way. And if you want to experience the vision part, shut one eye and see how that affects you. As I get used to that movement, I can bring my feet closer until they're together. And then I can try this again, and it's going to be a little more challenging because I've shrunk my footprint. I can have my feet hip distance or together. This one's easier. Bring my chest forward, shift the weight to the balls of the feet, pick them up, lower them down. I can repeat this as many times as I want. Maybe shut one eye. Maybe I've got a weight in one hand or both. Maybe I come here and try a bicep curl up on my toes and then put my heels down. Different things. What I like about using a weight sometimes in one hand is that most of the time, I don't know about you, but most of the time when I'm running around out there, I have something I'm carrying and I open the door like I'm always off balance. And if I'm going up steps and I've got one thing, so that's how I like to train, is sometimes put things a little bit off balance. So that's something that you should feel free to do. So a heel toe walk, standing like this with the front heel touching the toe is a marker for falls. We're meant to, it's like when we're assessing a person's risk for falling, we're meant to be able to stand like this for 10 seconds. So you can try that on yourself, see how you do. Proprioception, one finger on a wall. It doesn't seem like much, but it makes a big difference. Just letting your brain know where you are in space. So this way of standing can become a walk. You can put the other foot in front and try walking like that. If you're feeling bold, You can walk like that on the curb of the street, like you're on a balance beam. So standing on one foot, this is something else. We're meant to be able to do this for about 10 seconds when it comes to fall assessment, your risk of falling. So as I showed you, you could have your toe very close to the ground. You could bring it up to your knee. You could move it away. Then you could try tilting sideways. You could change your plane to tilting sideways. The farther your limbs are from the core, the more destabilizing it is. So maybe I start just leaning a little bit. And then as I get better at this, I get bigger. And then I start shutting one eye. Then I start adding a purse in one hand or whatever. Last plane we can balance in is coming forward. You got your back foot. Make sure I'm in view. Toe could be down, or you could pick it up. You could tilt forward a little bit more. Then you can challenge yourself by moving your arms as you get better at this. Maybe you're great at it right out of the gate and you want to do this with one eye shut. So when it comes to balance training, if shutting one eye makes it harder, one thing that makes it easier is fixing your eyes on something that isn't moving out there in the distance. So I'm going to brace my abs. I'm going to look and I'm going to fix my eyes on something, a little spot on the wall. And then it's proprioception. My brain knows where I am in space and I can move this stuff all around, stand on one foot. So they both work. Whether you need a little help with your balance, fix them. If you want to challenge yourself, shut one, switch, move your head to kind of snarl up your brain. So those are our 8 sets of exercises, of practices that we can do. Looks like that took us about 30 minutes, but of course I did not do that for 30 seconds stop the way you might like to do. But thank you for listening to me. And I wonder if anyone has any questions that I could answer for them.
Oh, that's a lot to take in.
That's why I think giving you some written material could be useful here.
Yeah, and thank you for letting us recording this. I think we need to rewatch.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, it is a lot to take in. And going through it a few times, because we start with the muscle groups at the bottom of the body and we work our way up, it will start to make sense and feel a little more unified as a total body thing to do.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I usually, I did some weight training and I felt that I need to keep balance holding, some weight in both hands. But what you just said that, in reality, we usually have that carry something with one arm and the other arm doing something. So I think that, it's good point. Very inspiring.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you ever have an injury to, let's say you've injured your shoulder doing something, you don't need to feel afraid to work with the other arm or to use a lighter weight or no weight with an injured arm. It can just move through the range of motion and it still is moving, but you're not taxing it by adding a load. So that is,
that actually applies to me right now because I got a little stiff shoulders for my right shoulder. And I kind of stopped all of my weight training because I don't think I can lift the dumbbell with my right hand. But now I think I can pick up. And
yes, exactly. You could work with the left and just let the right, make it move.
Okay.
That will increase circulation.
Yeah.
And it will put the arm through its range of motion so it doesn't stiffen up.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Yeah. And Yeah, we are taking questions. Anyone?
Miss Calkwood, and I just feel, when you mentioned 30 minutes, I thought it's a long time passed already, but it's only 30 minutes. But you already showed us a lot of movement, help to keep the balance and the muscle strength in our body. And the one thing I really impressed is you showed us doing the movement, not all on the floor. Even when we stand, when we sit, seems in any kind of posture, we have the chance to do the movement to keep the balance, of our body and to
Exactly.
enhance, strengthen the muscles. But I do want to check one thing with you because I really like you mentioned, is you tell us we can use the chair to provide some support to our body. But I also have the concern is the stable of the chair. Because you did mention that we can stand up from the chair, or when we do some stretch, we can hold the chair to do it. But if the chair is not stable, and it might cause the sliding down, or maybe some injury for our hip area.
Right.
That's a concern is
Yes.
when choosing the chairs, do you have any suggestion on it?
An office chair like I'm using, because they have little rubber feet on them. So they're not slidey. And the legs, let me see if you can see this. The way the legs are positioned, it's a very stable, let me show you what I'm talking about.
Okay.
You see how the feet are wider than the seat? Sort of like our bodies when we're doing, let's say when we're practicing some balance and our feet are wider, we're more stable. We bring them narrow, much less. So that's what I like about this regular office chair is these rubber feet.
Okay.
Is that visible? I can't see with them.
Yes.
But we have rubber feet.
Thank you for showing us that. It's very helpful.
Yeah. And that, of course, is not an expensive item. You may have one in the garage for when you have parties or just a folding chair.
Okay. Yeah, I have one more question about like when we do those either the dumbbells or the hip bridge, do we need to have our like breathing to match with the movement? Like when you move upward, do you breathe in or breathe out?
The rule, the main thing you want to do is breathe. Always breathe. Once you're breathing, I don't want you to worry so much about, am I supposed to be breathing in or out? Don't worry. You're supposed to be breathing. But the general rule is on the exertion, exhale. So exertion, exhale. So when you do a bicep curl, the exertion is the lift. So I'm going to exhale, which means inhale, exhale. When you're doing that core work, it's very easy to know which one, because when you lengthen, think about your lungs. When you open your torso, inhale to fill your lungs, and then when you fold, you push the air out. That can work too with a squat. If I think this is the effort, I'm folding, like I'm inflating myself, like I'm a balloon. I get bigger when I inhale and I shrink. But the main thing is sometimes I get really hung up on when am I supposed to be breathing and how. Make sure you're breathing. That's the most important thing. When the muscles are working, they need oxygen.
Okay.
Keeps them fired.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you for the information. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Thank you for the information. On the early beginning, you talk about the bone density of the human body and the muscle. So which one is more important? Because I'm thinking of if you have a chance to improve your body, the bones density, or the muscle, I know they are trying to help each other.
Yes.
But if you are choosing one to improve first, and which one is more important?
Muscle mass.
Muscle mass?
The muscles, the work of building the muscle is weight bearing, and it also improves the bones. And also, like if you were to take a fall, the muscle mass helps cushion the bones. So increasing your work for the muscles helps your bones immediately by causing you to make more dense bones because you're doing weight-bearing exercise. But also, if you were to take a fall, they provide cushion for the bones themselves and make them less likely to break. Does that answer your question?
Okay, yeah. Sounds like you're saying try to improve the muscle density is more important.
Yes, because it will improve, in turn, it will improve bone density. That is what Huang Yi discovered, is she didn't know that this weight training, but she went and got her bone density tested and she had improved. And it was the only thing that had changed. And we didn't specifically say we're here to build dense bones. We were just going through our exercises and she got a fantastic result.
Yeah.
Because I think for some of my friends, if they have a genetic that bone density is not good enough, or they lose the bone density by the age. And so in that case, you will not be able to improve your bone density. Sounds like when you talk about, you can only improve your muscle. So bone density going to decrease just by their genetic.
If that's the case, for example, if they have osteoporosis and they're receiving treatment for that, working the muscles, again, weight-bearing exercise impact can slow down the loss of bone density. Okay. So even if it doesn't improve, like the wonderful result that my friend got, you can slow it down as far as it becoming less dense, more porous.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So also the intake of protein helps the building of muscle mass, right? So
yes.
But does it matter that we take some protein before or after the exercises? Because some of my friends said it's better. I mean, your body absorb protein better after exercise.
After, yes, okay. It will absorb more after. But kind of like the breathing, make sure you get some at some point during the day when you exercise. Yep.
Okay.
Hi, Christine. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I got one question. Thanks for your very good showing us this activity. I got one question. For example, sometimes we're sitting in the office, doing the work, typing on computer, we forgot the time. And the moment we realize our back really hurt. Okay, how could we prevent these kind of things happen? So when you're sitting in the office in the early morning, I feel just great. But after 2 hours, oh, my back so hurt. Is there any I would say helping us to keep our upper body just straight? How to do that to prevent these kind of things continue bending our back to the time we realize it's too late. Yeah.
This is a great question. Sitting. All right. When we sit, the hips are flexed. And when we are working, this rolls forward, okay? I am exaggerating. Obviously, we're not working like this. We try to sit, but it shortens the pec muscles here, and the hips are flexed, and we're working here. So the pain in the back from sitting still, one simple thing that you can do is some twists. Before you turn and rotate, you're going to want to sit really tall. I'm going to use my arm. I'm going to push down, and I'm going to rotate this way, and then I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to lift up tall, and I'm going to rotate this way. But there is this muscle in your body. It's my favorite. It's the only muscle of the body that is on the lower half and the upper. It looks like this. It attaches to the bone in your leg. It comes up, and then it branches out into these 5 little fingers that attach to your spine in your low back. So let me explain why that's important. The muscle that I just showed you with that strap does this. So when it's in this position, it's contracted, it's shortened. It pulls on your low back. Can you believe it? What a setup. So this is the stretch for that. This is flexion. I'm going to take it into extension. I'm going to take it back. I'm going to get my legs really soft. I'm going to squeeze my butt and push my hips forward. Because remember, this makes it shorter. So I want to make it longer. I'm going to push my hip forward. And then I'm hanging onto the wall here. I'm going to reach up and back. Because remember, it's also on my spine. So I have to lift up and maybe reach back. Now that's an intense stretch. But that is definitely a stretch to do if you've been sitting for a long time. Any way that you can. If you think about that muscle that's a flexor, you want to extend it, push it forward. That might be good enough. But you can reach up and make it longer. Because literally when it's shortened, it's pulling on your lower spine. I mean, no wonder we have back pain when we've been seated. So that stretch and the rotation will feel very, very nice.
Yeah,
you can strengthen your
you
can strengthen your back with that little Superman fly. Make sure you're squeezing your glutes, and you can strengthen your back that way.
Thank you so much. Very helpful. Yeah.
Thanks for your question.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah, sorry. Another one. I saw you got quite a few of the dumbbells.
Yes.
With different weights. The one you use for the exercise. What kind of? It's a 5 pound, 2 pounds, or what the ideal weight for people? Yeah.
For most people,
yep.
A heavy weight will be between 5 and 10.
Okay.
And then the lighter weight would be like half of that. And when I type up the notes and have a little program for you all, some of your muscles are really big and they like big weights, like your legs and your back. But when you're just doing a bicep curl, that's just little muscles in your arms. And so we use a lighter weight. So I think I was using 8-pound weights in here. And a couple of times I would have preferred that I had 5. But that's what I happened to grab. But between 5 and 10 is heavy, and below 5 is a lightweight, a good place to start if you're new to this.
Okay, thank you so much. Yep.
Okay, anyone have questions? I think we got a few more minutes.
Excuse me. Yeah. For the weight you just mentioned, is that possible if you try to lift maybe 25 pounds or 30 pounds, do they have a chance to damage the body? If you use it too heavy.
So if you're using so one thing that can happen with overuse and overload is an injury. One thing that you could do would be to lift a weight that feels comfortable for you, but too many times, like you say, day one, I am going to do bicep curls for 2 minutes. You should start with more like 30 seconds. If you are lifting something that's too heavy for you, you will not be able to lift it. You will come into failure of the muscle. You just won't be able to pick it up, which is not dangerous. What's dangerous is if we're trying to lift something that's too heavy for the muscle and we recruit other muscles to do it, if that makes sense, we lose our form, So start small. If you can't pick it up, don't use it. If you can only do it 5 times before you start, let me show you what that might look like. So my good form with my bicep curl, I'm bending and straightening my arm. If it starts to feel heavy, I might start to swing it or use my legs to try to move it. And that's where I have compromised my form. And it's better for me to put my weights down and take a rest and drink some water and then try it again. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I wouldn't hurt my bicep. My arm I wouldn't be able to lift it. It would fail. But I might hurt my back if I start doing something goofy because I feel like I need to keep lifting. I should just put it down and drink water. Let the muscle recover.